Stewart, 38 points in that last game against Minnesota. She wants to bring the ball up more. Wide right, Kia Stokes comes up with the rebound. Here's the matchup, Asia against Stewart.
Your life.
This is Dr. Laura. If you want some no-nonsense advice, call me.
Your future.
Dave Ramsey here will give you the proven strategies for your life, your money,
your point of view.
It's me, Megan Kelly. Smart, in-depth, fun, sometimes provocative conversations on this show. I'm not going to hold back.
Plus, inspiring views with Glenn Beck. And daily bombshells on crime stories with Nancy Grace. To hear SiriusXM Triumph, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or go to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artist you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
Get the SiriusXM app and listen on your phone when you get out of the car. Anywhere you take your phone, you can take Howard Stern, NFL Radio, and commercial-free music channels from nearly every genre. You never have to miss your favorite SiriusXM programs or commercial-free music. Find the SiriusXM app in the App Store or call 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/app to find out more.
And have a happy day. It's the 70s on 7 with flavors for music fans who love variety. Pop, rock, disco, soul, funk, country, and yes, bubblegum. SiriusXM. To hear the Super 70s on Channel 7, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly. SiriusXM 70s.
Did you know SiriusXM has over 100 extra channels on the SXM app filled with ad-free music made for everything you do? Mashup channels, workout channels, channels for parties, or just chilling out and more. Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers.
The greatest title fight in the history of the division.
The UFC is on SiriusXM Fight Nation. Get inside the octagon for all the UFC Fight Night cards on Channel 156. Plus, hear the preliminary bouts and pre- and post-fight commentary for UFC pay-per-view cards. The UFC is on your home for combat sports. SiriusXM Fight Nation, Channel 156, and on the SXM app.
To hear the UFC on SiriusXM Fight Nation, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visiting SiriusXM.com/go.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, that's nice.
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artist you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritized customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through Nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada.
Is back. And every week you'll hear the biggest games on SiriusXM and the SXM app.
There's nothing better than this opening week of football.
Get ready for game day on College Sports Radio, Channel 84, with our roster of experts, including Danny Cannell, Jacob Hester, and Rick Neuheisel.
This is what college football fans have been clamoring for.
Plus, go in-depth with your favorite school on our Power 5 conference channels, 371 to 375. For a full list of matchups, go to SiriusXM.com/college football schedule.
This time I have the honor to present to you the moral leader of our nation. I have the pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. Five score years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. And so we've come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. So we've come to cash this check, a check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children. It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. This sweltering summit of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until there is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. Those who hope that the Negro needed to blow off steam and will now be content will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual. There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro has granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. But that is something that I must say to my people who stand on the warm threshold which leads into the palace of justice. In the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protests to degenerate into physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force. The marvelous new militancy which has engulfed the Negro community must not lead us to a distrust of all white people. For many of our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny. They have come to realize that their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone. And as we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back. There are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our body is heavy with the fatigue of travel, cannot gain lodging in the motels of the highways and the hotels of the cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We can never be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity by signs stating for whites only. We cannot be satisfied as long as a Negro in Mississippi cannot vote and a Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote. No, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. I am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come fresh from narrow jail cells. Some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities. Knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. I say to you today, my friend, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. One day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. One day, right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. Exalted. And every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, "My country, tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, "Free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last."
Let's get ready to rumble! I love saying welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe on 28 podcast applications. Today's a lot different show because 60 years ago there was the I Have a Dream speech, and I know a lot of times we kind of take for granted what our country has come through. But one thing that Dr. King talked about, we come to get our check, and that's where Abraham Lincoln promises reparations now, reparations forever. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. You go by and test drive yours, tell them to sit you with a good Lord split you, if that makes sense to you. I love bringing Big C Sports Podcast to you on 28 podcast applications. I did not exist at the time of this speech, and I mean that I did not exist at all. The speech is part of what drives me as a beautiful man of color, a black man that feels like God has given me everything I need with that 9 Series DNA. And I believe somehow, some way, that with my path in life, that I've chosen to follow a path that makes it possible to talk about what Dr. Martin Luther King did. I don't think there's any sports show that does what I do. I'm just saying, I hope that more that join. There are some that are starting to be more than just touchdown, home run, and three-point play. I want to get into that too. You can follow Big C Sports Podcast on 28 podcast applications all over the universe. On Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser. You can also follow Big C Sports Podcast on Amazon and Good Pods. You can find us on GeoSavan out of London, England, as well as India and Africa. You can also follow Big C Sports Podcast on Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, WePod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbay, Verbal Podcast, Podcast Prodigy, Podcast Republic, and one that used to scare me. Then it stopped, and then it started scaring me again. It's allfees.ai. The robots are taking over. Give that some praise. I'm telling you, what a great day in Denver Hills, in California. Really do appreciate the things that I've learned and just going over the 60-year anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech. I have a saying that I love that Dr. Martin Luther King, he preached about: if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Let's give some praise to people who move forward. I want to say on my podcast show today, I produce the shows. I love what I'm doing with Big C Sports Podcast because I didn't exist when Dr. King gave his I Have a Dream speech. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. I know you can use more laughter. And then the commercials are done. I'm the only sports show in the universe. I do all of my commercials before the show. I do it what's called a pre-roll. I don't do mid-roll commercials. I don't do post-roll commercials. Most our podcasts, they will do about 4 pauses where they'll do 3 or 4 commercials. I do mine in the beginning. I just keep going and going and going and going. I really do appreciate that. The stats are provided. I do the storytelling. And then I'm telling you also, I even do the play-by-play. Runners on first and third. The counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on. Hit deep. Right field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. And then the show's uploaded to 28 multiple podcast platforms all over the world. Out of New York City. And I'm in Denver Hills, California. And then I never missed a show since starting Big C Sports with the crew back at Salem Media. It's amazing how things fly when you're having fun, if that makes sense to you. I really do appreciate that. And I love what I'm doing because God gave me a chance. And when Dr. Martin Luther King talked about having a dream, we all have a dream. But what he said, we came to get our check. And that's why I want to be the biggest podcaster in the universe that will champion reparations now, reparations forever. Because people love playing that I have a dream. I have a dream. But in that dream, he said, we come to get our check. We come to get our check. And even though President Biden met with some black Americans at the Oval Office today, he didn't write a check yet. You know, the ones that our Jewish brethren got. We deserve that. And I'm the only sports show in the universe that reminds everybody who has a heart to do the right thing. It's important that we don't just shuck and jive. Because when Dr. King said, I have a dream, and people listen, and they've been playing it all over television and radio, I want you to listen to something that happened long after his I Have a Dream speech. You can Google it. Get your phones out right now, because I want you to see that I'm factual. And I hope that there'll be more people that join this. You can Google Survivor Today Act of 2017. The I Have a Dream speech was written in 1963. The Survivor Today Act of 2017 is the Justice for Uncompensated Survivor Today Act of 2017 is United States of America legislation that requires the State Department to report to Congress on the steps that 47 countries in Europe have taken to compensate Holocaust survivors and their heirs for assets seized by Nazi Germany and post-war communist governments. When he said, we come to get our check, he should have gotten more praise, because our Jewish brethren got their check. And it was black Americans that helped end Hitler's reign. And people know that. And I love the I Have a Dream speech, but could you imagine how insulting it is that there's no check yet? I know this task force that have gotten together to study reparations, and I believe it's going to happen this time. And on the back, and you can give that some praise. You got to see things before they happen, and that's what I believe in Romans 4:17. Speak things that be not as though they were. I want to also say thank you to, oh my goodness, Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like Dr. King said, I have a dream. Well, God said in Genesis 1 verse 3, he said reparations now, reparations forever. Because God had a dream too. And that's why our powers that be that did what was right for our Jewish brethren and their ancestors through the Holocaust and their descendants, it's time for African Americans now, black Americans. And when President Biden met with black quote-unquote leaders today, he didn't write a check. You know, like the one that President Zelensky got $100 billion. He didn't even have a dream. He just asked for the money, and he got the money. And you think about how President Zelensky got the $100 billion from the United States, and Dr. King had a speech that was more eloquent than President Zelensky. And how does anyone justify when you follow Big C Sports and you say, oh, he's just talking? No, I ask everyone, take your phone and Google it for yourself. You don't have to listen to anything I say. I want to make a clarion call. I don't want to be like people that just suck and jive. Oh, I can't wait for football to start. Woo! I can't wait for the team that's going to win the Super Bowl this year. And knowing we've never been paid. Google Survivor Today Act of 2017. And juxtapose that to the I Have a Dream speech. It is United States legislation that's making sure our Holocaust brethren get their checks. How dare you say, oh, we don't believe in reparations? United States government, along with Germany, making sure that our Jewish brethren get paid. They didn't have a speech like Dr. King. Yeah, man, Big C, I thought you were gonna tell me who scored a touchdown over the weekend. You can Google who scored a touchdown. The people who scored a touchdown are the people. I'm going to tell you who got the touchdown, and you can Google it. Our brethren who got the touchdown was decided. You want to know who threw the pass? I just told you Google it. Survivor Today Act of 2017. I'm not making this stuff up. If you're the dumbest person in the world, you can Google that. Survivor Today Act of 2017. Just speak it into your phone and see what comes up. It says, I have a dream. That's not what it says. It says the Justice for Uncompensated Survivor Today Act of 2017 is United States of America legislation that requires the State Department to report to Congress on steps that 47 countries in Europe have taken to compensate black Americans. But it says Holocaust survivors and their heirs. It doesn't say black Americans, descendants of child slavery, and their heirs for assets seized by Nazi Germany and post-war communist governments. Hitler was only in power from 1933 to 1945. Slavery existed 1619 to 1863, and then fully ratified through Texas in 1865. So how can anyone say we don't deserve reparations if you can read? If you're just dumb and you can't read, then you have an excuse. But if you're not dumb and you can read, reparations now, reparations forever. We praise Dr. King, but most of us now, we just want to see who won the game. We want to see touchdown, home run, three-point play. Oh, man, Willie, he's going all the way. That's not what Dr. King was speaking about. And I think some of us, it's good people. So this is not about a white-black thing. Slavery was all about white and black. Because black Americans, they were not lynching white people. They were not selling off white kids. They were not raping white women and their children and then selling their kids and whipping their kids with 50 lashes if they didn't pick enough cotton. They were not telling them they couldn't vote, they couldn't read or write, or they would be murdered. Black Americans were not doing that to white people. So 60 years later, you have grandparents and grandchildren that were among the tens of thousands gathered in front of the Lincoln Memorial to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights Movement called the March on Washington. And the one thing that's conspicuously absent is reparations now, reparations forever. Because that's what the march was about. It wasn't about shucking and jiving. You know, even think about the March of 1963. There were women who were not just background singers, but women have been, maligned. There's a sweltering August day in 1963, almost 250,000 people. They were together at the National Mall. And women were relegated to the background even as they played major roles in the movement. And I think for our black brethren, especially because we come from an ancestry that should have had the Justice Department make sure that we're getting compensated as descendants of chattel slavery. We come from that background. And we should have that happen to us to this day. And again, I'm not knocking anybody because not everybody likes my style. But what I do love is that people pay homage to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But he was one of the most hated individuals by the FBI when he was given the I Have a Dream speech. I think that all good people got to realize in the beginning of the speech, he paid homage to America's best president, President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States. Isn't that something? But the country's never paid homage to President Abraham Lincoln because they never helped cast the check. You know, the same check? The same check that you're only going to hear about on Big C Sports. You're not going to hear about it on other sports programs because they've been hoodwinked in the same touchdown, home runs, 3-point play. Oh, man, Willie, he's going all the way. Who's going to win the game? And that's not the speech that Dr. King gave. Dr. King was talking about the Survivor Today Act of 2017. That speech, it's about our Congress and our Justice Department. They make sure that our Jewish brethren get paid. And we give them praise for that. The Holocaust was horrible. If the Holocaust was horrible during Hitler's reign from 1933, 1945, how much more horrible was slavery from 1619 to 1865? Even if you're dumb, you can Google. It's a lot longer. And it's time to honor President Abraham Lincoln because it was his idea. He worked with Frederick Douglass to craft the Emancipation Proclamation. But if you're a decent people and you're in Congress, how do you turn the blind eye to the I Have a Dream speech? Because they play it over and over and over again for 60 years. But they never talked about the most seminal moment in the speech. He said, we come to get our check. You know, like the Survivor Today Act of 2017. Our Jewish brethren get their checks. They're not marching. They're not playing I Have a Dream speeches. They're getting paid. You know who make them get paid? United States Congress, United States Justice Department, and we give them praise. I want to give praise to what should happen because if not now, when? If not now, when? And I love the fact that God has put me in a path to not just be talking, but being part of the National Black Wall Street Project, and the goal is to help create millionaires. But also being part of the California Reparations Task Force, I've met every member and having plans as I speak to have more conversations with them. I've spoken to everyone. I want to give them praise. Not like the I Have a Dream speech praise, because I want to give them praise like the Survivor Today Act praise, where they actually get the money. I want to say California Reparations Task Force, the chair, Attorney Camila Moore, brilliant, and attorney in reparative justice. This is commissioned by California Governor Gavin Newsom. Dr. Amy C. Brown, Vice Chair, brilliant, the best senator in the United States of America, California Senator Stephen Bradford, brilliant, responsible for name, image, and likeness as you get around watching college sports now. He's the one that helped craft that bill. Councilmember Monica Montgomery Stepping, brilliant. Really do appreciate her. And then Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer, brilliant. Really appreciate him. Dr. Shell Grills, brilliant. Really do appreciate her. Attorney Lisa Holder, brilliant. Appreciate Miss Holder. And then Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California, Berkeley, brilliant. Appreciate him. And then Donna K. Tamaki, member of the Reparations Task Force in California, brilliant. I want to give them all praise. They didn't get the I Have a Dream speech that Dr. King gave 60 years ago, and people still play it. But they don't talk about how do we give the check that he came when he said we come to get our check. The one our Jewish brethren get. And we helped end Hitler's reign. Black soldiers did. And that last meeting was June 29th, 2023. And I'm the only sports show in the universe that still talks about it. And a lot of our other brethren, they're just comparing who's bigger, stronger, and faster. There's an 1,100-page task force report with recommendations for lawmakers. And I want to give that praise. Because when you light a flame, if you don't keep the flame lit, the flame can burn out. But there's a lot of lawmakers behind this. I wouldn't even know about it unless I was around them. And I'm saying that even for our beautiful U.S. Justice Department and Congress, there's a story in the Bible about the parables. It's in Matthew 25:14-30. And it talked about Congress entrusted some property and some legal bills to the servants, according to the abilities of each one. One servant received 5 talents. The second received 2 talents. And the third one received 1 talent. And as we play the I Have a Dream, I have a dream. And we have the President Biden meeting with black leaders saying things are changing. Just treat us like you treated President Zelensky and write the check. Reparations now, reparations forever. Honor President Abraham Lincoln, because President Abraham Lincoln promised it. You know what happens if you bounce a check with a bank? Not only will they freeze your account, they will call you and ask you to make the funds good. They don't just say, oh, well, it was just a bad check. They don't do that. I want to also give praise. Yeah, give that some praise. It's time to do the right thing. 60 years ago, Dr. King, he talked about getting the check that President Abraham Lincoln gave to us. And people just want to hear the I have a dream part. He had a dream that he'd get his check. If the country has the ability to do it, it's not broke. I want to pay homage to the Veterans Crisis Hotline that only Big C Sports does. They are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. 800-273-8255. If you know anybody going through issues, 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, give them some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on. And I love the fact that we do that. Now, I'm not comparing myself to Dr. King, but what if Dr. King was afraid? What if he was afraid to speak? I'm not afraid to speak. And I'm just one beautiful, intelligent black man. What if we had like 10 of us? Or at least 50 of us, one in each state? Because I still see a lot of my brethren, they're afraid to even honor Dr. King, what he said. He said, we come to get our check. I want to thank the Associated Press. You know, they also wrote about Dr. King. Janie Harr, March 29th, 2023. She wrote an article on reparations. Why did she call a sports guy? I asked her, what makes you call me? She said, I heard you speak. I heard you speak and I decided to give you a call. because the whole country could hear the speech at the Reparations Task Force meetings in California. I don't know if she called other people, but when I read about it, she didn't. So what was it about me? And I asked her, she said, because you're not like the others. Whatever that means and what it means. You can Google the article, March 29, 2023. She also mentioned President Joe Biden, who spoke with quote-unquote black leaders today. He didn't talk about writing a check, though. He talked about people trying to change the course. The course of what? He wrote the check for President Zelensky. Zelensky didn't vote to put President Biden in office. And I think he's going to do the right thing. The same way he signed the crime bill that helped divide a lot of black families. There's a chance to atone, not through talking, but through signing the check and get that some praise. They know how to pay it out. Just ask President Zelensky how he got the money. They didn't say, well, how are we going to pay out the money with the President Zelensky? He didn't vote for me to get in the office. He didn't march for me to get in the office. He didn't rally his neighborhood communities to get in the office. He didn't talk with the pastors in the churches in the black community. He just came over here and said he needed some money for a war they're losing. We're not losing the war of equality. We just need the Justice Department and Congress to write the check and give that some praise. They've done it before. Ask our Jewish brethren and black Americans. We give them praise for that. But it's time. So how did I get myself in the paper? Maybe whatever it is, God saw it coming. And I know it's coming, and I want to get that praise. People say, oh man, you talk too much about politics, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Don't you think there were people telling him, oh man, you crazy talking about a Have a Dream speech. They're never going to let civil rights pass. It put pressure on President Lyndon Baines Johnson to sign the Civil Rights Act. We made some progress. Life is about pushing through and asking people if what you're doing matters, even when we're gone. We won't live forever, but what we do can make a difference in the lives of other people. And I just want to give that praise, people that follow that. I want to open this show with the I Have a Dream speech, and I want to also, my show is different. I want to praise my family legacy, because that's where I get a lot of my passion from, being an avid reader. I don't make this stuff up. Oh, I wish I had Google when I was a boy. I had to read a lot, and I loved it. But I want to give praise to my family legacy on my beautiful mother's side. My great-grandmother called her Mama, beautiful, loving, kind woman. My great-granddaddy called him Pop, former military man, and former Negro League baseball player. And he never got his reparations check, and neither did she. And my beautiful grandmother, Mud Deer, beautiful, loving, kind woman, a seer. She could oftentimes look at a person, tell you a lot about their past, present, and their future. And she still helps me to this day. And then, oh my God. And then my grandfather, Hezekiah, another wonderful person, a seer, could look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, present, and their future. And then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. I love giving mama praise. Starting a Head Start program, a food program, and coaching all boys and Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. The best person I ever met in my life. In fact, it happened to me today. It was room 327. Me lightning strike. And on the inside of the room, there was a sign that said 0/O. And I looked at that as a sign. The universe gives you signs that when you're in the right place with the right people. And I just want to give God praise, because signs, God gives signs. The universe is listening. I love giving that praise. It says 0/O. There was 2 O's and a 0. My mama knows what that means. Not a lot of people do. But that's a clue. Room 327 by numbers. On my father's side, my grandfather called him Albert Curry, a former pastor. Had 2 churches in Oakland, but the 3rd one in Central California. He also owned 40 acres of land, like the Emancipation Proclamation. When Dr. King said, "I have a dream," and people cheered, the Emancipation Proclamation, President Lincoln promises 40 acres of renewal. My granddaddy owned 40 acres of land. And then my beautiful grandmother, Alberta Curry, touched me on my forehead when I was 8 years old, said, "There's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak." And I'm on 27 podcast applications, actually 28 podcast applications all over the universe, and streaming on 4 TV platforms. My beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always saying develop your mind to a size extent. And I really do appreciate that. Love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. Always saying go forward. Then my beautiful daughter, love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years. Set up the very first interview for Big C Sports Podcast because she has a dream too. The very first interview. And now her father's championing reparations because President Abraham Lincoln promised it to us, and Dr. Martin Luther King talked about it in his I Have a Dream speech in his March on Washington 60 years ago. Daisy, you can be anything you want to be. Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against you will prosper. My beautiful, handsome son, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul, Daisy. My beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College student, a senior, very smart, erudite, good man, helped me save trees. I used to always look up newspapers to find out stories for the Big C Sports Podcast. And one day Malcolm said, "Dad, why don't you just Google it?" And a light bulb went off. And then Malcolm one day said, "Dad, do you want to see Big C Sports on TV?" Because he had a dream. I said, "Sure." He said, "Pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, say play Big C Sports. You'll see your show come up." That's before it was even on the air. Now it's on 4 TV platforms streaming: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon and Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. Really do appreciate that. Then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, always saying you gotta believe, you gotta believe, you gotta believe. As I say, let's get ready to rumble. I love doing that. And so I've done my tribute to Dr. King, and I really do appreciate it that people are not afraid to talk about it. I want to talk about a little bit of track and field, and if we could just start cheering for reparations now, reparations forever. We'll be cheering on black athletes that run around a racetrack, or shoot a basketball, or run a football, or hit a baseball. We get that kind of passion behind reparations, oh, it'll happen now. Allowed Shakari Richardson of the United States 4x100 meter relay teams claim the gold medal. And Team USA, that's yet to pay reparations yet for these descendants of chattel slavery, the 4x100 meter relay, they're golden in Budapest. Noah Lyles and the men's 4x100 meter relay team, they run a world leading time of 37.38. And that's fast. And that won the event. The United States men had a big lead almost the entire race around the track. Maybe they were running for their reparations too. Italy claimed the silver, running a season best time of 37.62. And then Team Jamaica, they ran at 37.76 to round out the top 3. So this year's World Championships have been the showcase for Lyles. And the relay title was his 3rd gold medal at this year's World's event. And he won the 100 meters at 9.83 seconds. That's almost as fast as I ran. If that makes sense to you. And he won his 3rd consecutive World Championship in the 200, winning at a time of 19.52. The man could run. I think the world is so impressed by what's going on with these black athletes. And what if the world would champion what the United Nations did for our Jewish brethren, along with Germany and the United States? Reparations now, reparations forever. Cheer about reparations the same way we cheer our athletes. Shakari Richardson powers the United States women to a relay win, and we're still waiting on our reparations. Minutes after the United States men won the 4x100 meter relay, the United States women got a gold medal of their own. The great Shakari Richardson Gabby Thomas and the U.S. women were able to hold off Team Jamaica to win the relay, running a championship record time of 41.03. Sha'Carri ran the anchor leg, and she was able to maintain the United States lead over hard-charging Sharika Jackson, who ran the anchor leg for Team Jamaica. It's amazing how many beautiful, intelligent, non-series DNA athletes are setting records all over the world. Jamaica crossed the line, second place at 41.21 seconds. And then Great Britain ran a time of 41.97. And they got third place. You run 41.97, you get third place behind Jamaica and the United States. Isn't that something? The win gave Richardson 2 gold medals at this year's World Championship and 3 total medals. Sha'Carri pulled off an upset in the women's 100 meters to win the event. She also raced to a bronze medal in the women's 200 meters. Imagine how exhausted she needs a good foot rub running that fast up and down the track. And United States women 4x100 team disqualified. Things didn't go as well for the U.S. women in the 4x400 meter relay. And the U.S. women were disqualified for running out of the zone during the third and fourth exchange. But that happens sometime when you're running around the track so fast. Give the USA some praise. And next time we want to praise them for what Dr. King said, I have a dream. Reparations now, reparations forever. Because we're cheering sports, and that's great. Sports brings people together. But my goodness, we need reparations. We deserve it. Especially just got through the 60-year anniversary of the March on Washington. And most of our black brethren, because we're the ones that need to champion it, we're just focused on who's going to win the AFC, who's going to win the NFC, who's going to win the Super Bowl this year, who's your favorite team, who's your favorite player, who are you going to put money on to win this year? And Dr. King gave a more seminal speech than who's going to win the game. I know my show's different. I see why the Associated Press called me. She said, you're not like the others, you're different. I don't want to be any different than anybody else. But imagine when Reparations gets passed in California and you have one of the loudest talking sports podcasters in the universe saying reparations now, reparations forever. And it's going to happen because it's in the hands of legislation now. And all they're going to do is follow what was done on the Survivors Today Act of 2017. The Justice for Uncompensated Survivors Today Act of 2017 is United States of America legislation that requires the State Department to report to Congress on steps that 47 countries in Europe have taken to compensate Holocaust survivors and their heirs for assets seized by Nazi Germany and post-war communist parties and governments. And all they have to do is say it's United States legislation that requires every state in the United States to report to Congress on steps that 50 states in the United States of America are taking to compensate descendants of chattel slavery, the survivors and heirs for assets seized by the United States government. It's all, the blueprint's there. Just follow the yellow brick road and give that some praise. We all have a dream. It's time to do the right thing. You know, just traveling over the weekend, I saw so many signs that God has said, you're in the right space. You're in the right space with the right person. And I thank God. I just give God praise for that. But we all got to push forward. Dr. King was not quiet. He spoke, and all it takes is good people. And I believe that our Congress is going to realize, you know what? They never honored President Abraham Lincoln. And they're going to do it now. And congratulations to the United States. USA! 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 Reparations now! Reparations forever! Congratulations to the United States for honoring the I Have a Dream speech by saying that we will sign reparations now for the citizens of chattel slavery. Give that some praise. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber. You can call Lyft. Call a cab. You can sleep it off. You can walk it off. But Don't get behind the wheel of a car when you've been drinking and driving. The life you save may be your own or someone you love, if that makes sense to you. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As you always know, here it goes again. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat, because all these big cheeseburgers and dreams of reparations make me light on my feet. That's why I rumble and I rumble, I rumble. My beautiful mother always says, there's never ever an excuse. Listen up, Congress, for racism. Listen up, men and women, or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. If you know anybody going through that garbage, pick up the phone and call 911. Because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that crap. And things change when the police show up. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, on every Big C Sports Show, I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope you have a super, fantastic day. And for all the Americans that cheer track and field, make sure you cheer reparations now, reparations forever. As we honor in every show the great President of the United States, the 16th President, President Abraham Lincoln, that Martin Luther King, Dr. King, he talked about in the I Have a Dream speech. He said, reparations now, reparations forever. Let's honor what President Abraham Lincoln said, and Dr. Martin Luther King talked about it in the I Have a Dream speech. He said, reparations now, reparations forever. Let's say it one more time as if the USA just won an event. Reparations now, reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.